What's up, guys? It's your girl Kia, and I am back for a video. I have been offline for a little bit because my entire household got sick. So if you have a child who's in school, make sure you're sanitizing their backpack, their stuff, their cups, them. Making sure that they're giving them vitamins, anything that they need to keep them healthy, because whatever is going around these schools, it's like the plague. So definitely be careful. But I definitely wanted to take time to do this video because it's really, really important. You see the title of the video is. Some of you might be confused, and I'm going to explain why I'm using this title. And it's not for clickbait. I think we have a very weird situation where we have a lot of women, excuse me, I won't say a lot. We are starting to see more and more women who are taking the word SA, well, I'm not monetized, sexual assault, and making it something that it's not. I have seen it in the public platform three times. And when I say public platform, I mean major situations where that word has been thrown out there and no one really says anything. Everybody just kind of goes, oh, well, if a woman is saying it, we must believe all women. We must trust all women. We must, just believe that person. That man's awful. She's telling the truth. And we have seen in at least three recent occasions where it's like, well, was that really sexual assault, or was that this? That doesn't seem like that. That seems like this. And listen, the reason why this title is saying that, there is something worse than the Karen, and that's a Carolyn, is because Carolyn Bryant, for those people may not remember, Carolyn Bryant is a woman who accused Emmett Till. And I know people think like, oh my God, how could you make that comparison? Easily I can make that comparison. You know, Emmett Till was a child in a grocery store in the Deep South. He went into a grocery store with his friends and was seen with his cousins after a day of sharecropping. He went into Carolyn Bryant and her husband's grocery store. Nobody is sure what happened in that moment. There have been this insinuation for a while that he whistled at her. Other people said that never happened. It doesn't matter if it happened or did not happen. Carolyn then had a complete and I'm just using modern terms, meltdown, starts screaming at them. They get very nervous and the children leave. Her husband with her brother-in-law then go out and find Emmett and torture him and kill him and beat him to death. Okay, so I just wanted to pop in here with a little bit of an edit because I realized in the original video I overstated something and I want to make sure that I'm very, very clear. Carolyn Bryant's accusation that caused what happened to Emmett Till was that he had said obscene things to her, that he was making sexual remarks towards her, that he was, for lack of better words, sexually harassing her. There have been other accounts that she had because apparently she's told multiple stories that he had actually tried to touch her, but that he was just being disgusting and inappropriate and all these things. So I just wanted to drop that in here just to make it clear. I think I used the R word previously. That's never been stated, but the fact that he was making obscene sexual remarks to her, and whatever she thought that was, is what caused all of this. So I'm gonna drop that in there really quick. And that boy, not man, that boy lost his life. And yes, this had the Carolyn Bryant situation absolutely has had a lot to do with racism, but we also have to look at the claim that she made of sexual assault that did not happen. It wasn't just that this black boy, and I'm going to continue to say boy, this black boy, looked at her, sass mouthed her, whatever. It was that he took advantage of my white innocence. And that's just completely unacceptable. And I'm sorry to say we are seeing a rash of women a little bit who are doing the same thing, who are white women, who are saying, look at me as this poor white woman, this person sexually assaulted me, and you have to believe me because I'm telling you that that happened. And this is a very, very, very dangerous road that these women are trekking on. And I'm going to go through all three instances of this happening, and you guys can judge or not and let me know if the claim of calling them Carolyn's is too harsh. I don't think it is. I think that it is a huge disservice to actual SA victims. I think it's a huge disservice to the men around us to not kind of say, okay, now we have to draw the line somewhere. We have to make sure we are very clear. And I've made other videos about this, about women who are just throwing up the word, he sexually assaulted me, he sexually assaulted me, when in reality, and I'll go through two other cases. So let's just start with the first one. You know what? I will take you guys back a lot further than that. I will take you guys back to Aziz Ansari. If everybody remembers Aziz Ansari's case, where he went on a date with Grace. They had a decent date, you know, whatever, fine. They go back to his apartment and they have a very awkward, weird, you know, sexual encounter. Fine, whatever. Every woman, every man has had this weird sexual encounter that didn't go the way they wanted. Didn't end in some like rom-com romantic. We're waking up in the morning sharing coffee with each other. But it was just a bad date. The girl Grace then goes to babe.net, an unknown publication at the time, and accuses Aziz Ansari of sexual assault. It was a shocking telling from her story, and it did not go the way that she wanted. Aziz Ansari at first did lose a lot of, you know, his star power that he had at the time. He was starring in Master of None. And was directing and doing a lot of really cool creative things. And then that all kind of dwindled down once this allegation came out. Lucky for Aziz is that a lot of people, especially women, read that story and were kind of like, well, wait a minute, that is not sexual assault. At least it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it was just an awkward date. And again, sexual assault can range from a lot of things. It can range anywhere from inappropriate touching all the way to, you know, sexual abuse to rape. It can range in all these types of things. But in that instance with Aziz, it just seemed like a bad date. When she wanted him to stop, he stopped. When he thought the advances were coming back on, he started back on. When she wanted to leave, she could leave. They were watching TV. It was just, again, just awkward. So that's the oldest example that I can think of. I know people can go back farther than that, but that was the first one that really popped out in my mind. You know, that, hey, wait a minute, are we just throwing out this word anytime? The most recent one, let's talk about the DoorDasher. The DoorDasher is a woman who accused a DoorDash customer of exposing himself to her. And let's just check out that story right now.
So how did we get here? This is a wild story. On October 12th, Olivia Henderson was working as a DoorDash delivery person in Oswego, New York, that's north of Syracuse on Lake Ontario. She posted a video to TikTok that quickly went viral. She claimed that she had been sexually assaulted by a customer.
3 days ago, October 12th, 2025, I was a victim of SA by a DoorDash customer while I was doing my job as a DoorDash driver.
Now, according to Henderson, she posted about what she says happened on TikTok, but it kept getting removed. Whether that's because of the content that she posted violating app guidelines, or whether it was TikTok trying to, quote, silence her, as she claims, that's still unclear.
The DoorDash customer requested that their order be left at their front door. And when I arrived at their front door was wide open. Their lights were on, and they were sleeping on the couch within eyesight of the front door with their pants and underwear pulled down to their ankles, and they were indecently exposed to me. I got this on video, and I'm not even going to be posting the video clip anymore because I'm pretty sure that's what's getting me the strikes. But yeah, I reported it to DoorDash, and DoorDash did ban the customer. And then 2 days later, DoorDash banned me.
So Henderson's allegations quickly went viral. Millions of people saw the video. It features the semi-nude man who, it appears, is passed out on the couch after leaving the home's front door open. Now, that content was then reposted with other content creators commenting on what happened. Now, according to Syracuse.com, one of Henderson's videos had 30 million views. So this went everywhere. In her original video, which was taken.
So that was the original Henderson, that was Olivia's original video. And that's kind of a little bit of a background story. But 30 million people saw this man basically half naked on his couch. So it has now come out that, let me just take a step back. She went on TikTok screaming to the world that she had been sexually assaulted. I had been sexually assaulted. This man exposed himself indecently to me. He was laying on the couch in full view of me. This whole thing. When come to find out, the man had a Ring doorbell camera. So even, again, it's hard to it's hard to put everything together, but what I'm trying to say is that she exposed this man and called him someone who sexually assaulted her to almost 30 million people. That video got reposted so many times. She then recorded multiple videos after that saying that she was being punished for exposing her abuser. Exposing her abuser is one of the phrases that she used consistently. Consistently said that she had been sexually assaulted, that no one is believing her and believe all women and this and that, and using every single slogan that she can, when in reality, here's what actually happened. So here's a story. Olivia Henderson, 23, was delivering food on October 12th to a man's home in Oswego, New York. In a video posted on TikTok, she said when she arrived, she saw a man through an open door passed out on his couch with his pants off, according to AZ Family. She left the food and reported the man, saying she did not want a similar situation to happen to other women working as delivery drivers. I'm gonna get into that real quick. However, police investigating the incident said that her story did not align with the evidence it collected. They determined that no sexual assault occurred. While Henderson claims the door was open when she arrived, providing the view into the man's home, Ring camera footage taken from the home reportedly shows her opening the man's door on her own, according to the New York Post. According to police, there was no evidence suggesting the man had invited her into his house, and she admitted in her own TikTok video that the man's order would ask her to leave his food at the door, not inside his house. Since the incident occurred, Henderson has posted several videos, and we've already talked about this. So here's one line that a lot of these women have used, that Grace used with Aziz, that Olivia is now using, that the next two people that I'm going to talk about have also used. They say that she left the food and reported the man, saying that she did not want a similar situation to happen to other women working as delivery drivers. They always use this group thing, saying, I'm trying to protect other women. I'm for women. I'm trying to protect them. I did this to protect other women. Did you, though? Doesn't seem like you were trying to protect other women. It seems like, to me, in this situation with Olivia, it seems like she thought this would be funny online, or she thought this would gain some kind of attention, and it completely backfired on her, especially with the police investigating and saying that you had to, from the angle that she took, you had to actually walk up onto his porch and open the door, then take the video. So it wasn't like he was standing at the window waiting for her to walk up while he was, pleasuring himself in the window. Again, indecent exposure is a version of sexual assault. Sexual assault is a wide umbrella. A lot of things fall under it. And indecent exposure definitely can fall under that bucket, but it's a different category under that bucket. So there's a bucket, and then there's little buckets inside the big bucket that everything kind of goes inside. But in reality, she exposed this man to the world and was willing to put this awful label on him for what purpose? It couldn't just because you were trying to help other women. Why would you post his video trying to publicly shame him? And we all know the detriment that can happen when you have a label of sexual assault on you. Again, we go back to Aziz. Aziz actually didn't do anything wrong, and the public supported him, and his career has not been the same since. It's been better, but it's not been the same since. And that is unfair to him. So to put a label on another man who, don't get me wrong, this man, what probably happened with the man in Olivia's video is very simple. This man got drunkity drunk, ordered food, got home, thought, hey, I'll have some me time. The food's not going to be here for a while. Used all his energy out having that me time and then passed out. That is a simple solution to this. It is not that this man, and some people on TikTok are even saying, oh, he was laying in wait for her. He knew she was coming. Well, here's the other thing. We've all ordered DoorDash and Uber Eats before. There are some times when that Uber Eats and DoorDash number goes from, oh, you're 15 minutes away. Oh, wait, the food's not prepped yet. Or it's 25 minutes away. Or it's 30 minutes away. Or he could have ordered from his favorite place, because when you're drunk, you don't make the best decisions. And he could have ordered from some place that was 45 minutes away and thought he had time. And in that time, he fell asleep. He had had me time. He did all these things. Saying that he was laying in wait, again, she allowed other people to put these crazy psycho labels on him, that he's just this predatory man. And I'm so glad that his face and identity has never been revealed. I know some people have maybe found it, but no one's ever reposted it. So that man has some kind of anonymity and doesn't have to live with this whole, you're the naked guy on the couch from the DoorDashers video, because I don't think he deserves that label. I believe that this girl should have never put that label on this man. It should never have just been so relaxedly used that he sexually assaulted her and she's so traumatized. Girl, you caused your own trauma. You walked up to this man's door with your camera on. Well, excuse me. Maybe she was taking a picture of the bag of food, but you pushed this man's door open to take this picture and or video, and then you put it online. Whether you wanted attention, whether you thought you might get a speaking deal, I have no idea what she thought, but this was a horrible thing to do, and she got arrested. So let's talk about the next person who to me is a little bit more egregious than DoorDash Girl, and that is Demi from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And if you're not familiar with the show on Hulu, they are in their third season right now. And their third season actually talks about, going into the second season. And at a certain point, they all went to Vanderpump Villa, another Hulu show, just trying to do, cross audience pollination. And they met one of the people that worked there, Marciano. He's not Italian, but whatever. And Jesse and Demi met this man. They were very flirty. It is actually captured that they were very, very flirty. Jesse ended up having an emotional affair with him, kissed him twice. Demi actually kissed him once. Well, when we get to the show, Demi is now throwing around the world that she was, throwing around the word that she was sexually assaulted. Once again, we have another white woman saying, poor me, I need to be protected. I need to be kept safe because someone sexually assaulted me. It then came out that the woman claiming that she's been sexually assaulted, Demi, had multiple conversations with this man, long conversations with this man through text message, phone calls with this man, had sent this man videos of her daughter, pictures of her daughter, had been interacting with him 4 months after the so-called incident. Listen, I get it. I totally understand that not all sexual assault victims are the same. But that behavior is very confusing to everybody. It is very confusing to, it's just confusing to everybody. It doesn't make any sense for you to have long conversations with this man. If he did something that's so detrimental to you and it really made you feel uncomfortable. And I think Marciano ended up losing his job on Vanderpump Rules because of this, which she still is oblivious to, by the way, which is also highly confusing. But here's another part that makes Demi also very, very dangerous. She uses her cast members' actual assaults as ammunition, saying that two people who have been assaulted should be on her side. And she's talking about Macy, who had been severely abused by a former spouse, and about Michaela, who had to deal with childhood sexual abuse. These two women dealt with something extremely serious. And Demi is using it as ammunition to cover up the fact that you kissed this greasy greaseball at Vanderpump Villa. I don't understand why it's more acceptable to say that you had an SA situation rather than just saying, hey, I made a mistake. I kissed this guy. It was just a peck on the cheek. It was quick. It was no big deal. And tell your husband that. Why go scorched earth and try to destroy his entire reputation when there's so much ammunition that you guys had a relationship after, that you guys were cool after? There are very few women, and I know all sexual assault victims are different, but there are very few women who would actively pursue a friendship. It is one thing to be okay with the person, meaning you see them in public and you don't scream and point in their face and you did this to me and you did that to me. Or if they were at a Hulu event where all the Vanderpump Villa people and all the Mormon wives people are all together to take a picture, give a side hug, just so you don't cause any drama. That's one thing. That makes sense to me. I feel like Michaela is doing that with her abuser, who I think is still in her life, and she's just kind of going along to get along because she doesn't want to do anything bad. But in this case, you are actively developing a friendship and bringing this person more into your life. So much so that you told everybody that Brett felt bad for him and wanted to send him Uber Eats. No husband worth their salt would ever want to comfort or provide some kind of security to a man who has assaulted their wife. It's just not true. No man would do that unless your husband is going along with this and this is some kind of storyline for Hulu. But again, that's very dangerous. If this is a storyline for Hulu, then once again, you are really, really watering down what sexual assault means, and you're harming somebody else's reputation who after this show was over still has to put food on the table and survive. Why are we doing this? Like, why would we do this for the show? And another reason why I think Demi is so dangerous is because she knows the women on the show have to believe her because then their followings will attack her, attack them and say, you don't believe women? How dare you not believe women? You should. Demi used to be your friend, regardless of the issues that you guys have had. You should believe her. You have to believe. Demi knows that. And the girls kind of know that too. That's why in the last episode, they're all just kind of like, okay, we understand. We hear you. We're listening to you. We're on your side. We get it. Even though none of them really are, all of them really are just like, it doesn't make any sense. Even one of the husbands, who is another victim of childhood sexual abuse, Whitney's husband, is also just saying, I don't understand. I don't get what this means. This doesn't make any sense. Like, I know you want to listen to me, but none of this makes sense because it doesn't. But once again, we're throwing out that sexual assault term. We're making sure everybody believes me and knows that I went through this horrible trauma and I should be believed and listened to. And the other two girls on this show who have been, I'm in the same boat as them. We're all the same. You should treat me just as, the comfort you gave them and the understanding. I deserve the same understanding too. You don't, because you're a liar. And here's why we know she's a liar. During this season of Real Housewives of Mormon Wives, she went out of her way to say that Chase, Miranda's ex-husband, had shoved her. He shoved me. He assaulted me. He pushed me. He put his hands on me. She ran upstairs to her husband, Brett, and said, Chase just put his hands on me. He run downstairs dressed as a Chippendale dancer, whatever, and starts yelling at Chase, yelling at him, screaming at him, to the point the police are called. So you're telling me the man who ran downstairs because a man poked you in the ribs, barely touched you, poked you in the ribs, was ready to fight Chase, but the man who sexually assaulted you, who took something from you, and again, that is what sexual assault is. It is someone taking something from you that belongs to you. So you're saying that your husband would fight Chase, but for someone like Marciana who did that to you, he wants to buy food and comfort. That doesn't make any sense. Like, to me, this is not even a good lie. Why? Ladies, women, white women, why are you doing this? What is the point of this? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to make sure that you're always looked at as innocent and weak and meek and you can never do anything wrong? I don't understand what this is. It's so confusing. And the last example I'll go under, and you guys have maybe seen, if you follow my channel, you've seen my video about this, and that is on the cast of The Valley. I forgot these people's names that quick. It's still has cold head. But the cast of The Valley, when Danny Bucco did inappropriately touch another cast member. He inappropriately touched, oh goodness, I forgot. Again, my brain is scrambled. He inappropriately touched Jasmine Good. So I think he smacked her in the butt and then so he smacked her on the backside and said, get daddy a drink. But some people are saying he could have said, get Danny a drink, and she just couldn't hear him because he was so drunk and probably slurring his words, which I don't know either way, but he definitely smacked her in the butt, thinking that he was being a funny friend, and he wasn't being a funny friend because these are all friends. These are all people close. And Janet took it upon herself to label Danny as someone who sexually assaulted Jasmine. And Jasmine is not the person who's putting this label on Danny. She just felt uncomfortable and wanted to talk to Danny and wanted to make the situation better, let him know that she was uncomfortable. But it was Janet, once again, the white woman, who was putting this label on Danny and screaming out, you sexually assaulted her, you sexually assaulted her, you sexually assaulted her. For what? What's the end game to this? I asked that to Janet, to Demi, to Olivia, to Grace. What were the end games in your situation? What did you want to happen? What did you think was going to happen? That all of the men in the situation were going to be arrested. They were going to be villainized. They were just going to be ruined for the rest of their lives. And you were going to be put on this pedestal as champions for women. You aren't champions for women. You are taking situations that, though are uncomfortable, that people should work on and have real conversations about to get better, and turn them into something completely different. Again, not all sexual assaults are the same. There are levels to these things. Another example, not of the show, but just a life example. If my 20-year-old special needs son goes out to the park but can't get into the bathroom and pees behind a tree and a little kid sees his penis by accident, my son could be labeled a sexual predator because of that. Even though he's a 20-year-old special needs adult, he's a special needs adult who didn't know, who was just trying to find somewhere he can go to the bathroom, and a little kid walks up on him, does he deserve that label? Probably not. But would he get put in that bucket? Will they require him to be in the sex offenders registry list? Yes, you are required to go on the sex offenders registry list for that. It's just so wide ranged, and I wish people would take it more seriously when it really happens. And I will end on this. I am not someone who's ever going to believe all women. I know people think that's so crazy, but I will never believe all women, but I will always listen to all women. I don't care who it is. If one of my friends comes up to me and says, this happened to me, I will sit there. I will listen to their entire story, hear them, make sure they are heard, make sure that they know that someone is in their corner. Will I believe them every time? Maybe not. I would want to see more evidence. I would want to see more real facts that this happened, but I will always listen. I will always be supportive, but I am not going to jump off the cliff of going up to someone that the claim is being made again and pointing in their face, or putting them on a national platform, or blasting them all over social media, claiming that they assaulted them, because that is extremely dangerous, and it needs to always mean something. Sexual assault and all these types of crimes need to be taken seriously. So those are my thoughts. I'm glad I got through this without dying from sniffing. But yeah, drop them in my comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you agree with me or disagree with me. And I look forward to hearing from you. See you in the next video. Bye, guys.